for medical doctors. So, for example, if I'm sending a PhD student to Germany for 36 months, plus language in Egypt, plus cultural awareness and so on, for medical fields, specifically medical and arts, actually, in Germany, we are sending them only for 2 years, and we are adopting the sandwich model. So they have a supervisor from Egypt, they have a supervisor from Germany, and they are working between the two countries. So this is really a special consideration for those. And that's actually what I wanted to say when I spoke about a vision and close monitoring and follow-up. Because we are, at the end of the day, okay, we are equal in the name of the law, but we are not equal when we go to studies. I come from engineering, others come from medical fields, so you have to have those considerations for the poor.
Dr. Yasser Sheikh. There's a question and there's a comment. My question, I like the way that you put the vision, opportunity, and culture. But I did notice that in one of the slides you put exchange once as opportunity, and at the end put it as culture. You just need to know the difference. Why? You put it, the exchange, as an opportunity, and as culture at the same time. It's overlapping. And my comment, engineers, we are all proud of engineers, but there are other fields. This is my comments.
Due to time constraints, we'll take several questions. And
my question, I address it to Mr. Renoir. What was a happy variation, phonetic variation of my favorite painter of Renoir. I totally agree with you in doing this distinction between internationalization and mobility. Yeah. But there is, I think that, is there any kind of hidden fear of mobility, politically and in academia? I think that there is something like that we have to address and to discuss. There is some psychological reasons which at the level of political arena. And well, there is a little story I wanted to share with you. During the last visit of, which can sum up this fear, during the last visit of Laurent Fabius to Algiers, one of our major caricature made a caricature which said, Laurent Fabius is asking one Algerian, you know, you have to beware, you have to be careful, because in 15 years you will run out of oil, and it is really serious. And the Algerian said, well, don't worry, because in 15 years we will all be in your country.
any other questions before we move? I think I have one question to the panel, which is, what do you see as the biggest success and what is the biggest challenge with regards to mobility at your institutions from a leadership point of view? And now I'll give the microphone to the panel. Each of the panelists will comment for 30 seconds on the questions that were asked.
Can I be the second or the third?
First. Yeah.
You see, they are always choosing engineers to be the first, so it's not even my choice. I'm sorry. No, of course. I mean, engineers are always battling with physicians and then mathematicians. Okay. Well, just to answer the question, exchange that has been repeated twice. For me, exchange is an opportunity for the person to exchange ideas, to exchange knowledge, and it is a culture of the institution. Not all the institutions have this culture of exchange, to give and take. Not always to take, but you have also to know that at some point of time, the institution itself, it has to give something. It's not only to send my students to Cardiff in order to be trained, and then at the end, Cardiff will feel that they are like educators for us. No, we have also, as an institution, not as a person, to know that at some point of time we have to give Cardiff something. So this is for me. Well, biggest success and biggest challenge. Biggest success for me on the institutional level is internationalization. Is the let's say the flattening of stereotyping, and the biggest challenges is the change of the mindset. I mean, we still in our countries, at least in Egypt, at least in my I would speak about my faculty in order not to hurt anyone else. At least in my faculty, we still have this problem of mindset vis-a-vis the mobility or internationalism. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.
Sorry.
Regarding exchange, I would like to reiterate that one of the key outcomes of mobility, to my mind, is exposing our students and faculty to the big wide world. And that means that they, it is, they see people for what they are, and they're seen for what they are, without any judgments or stereotyping. And this is fundamental, especially in the context of today, and in relation to the Arab region and Palestine. For us in my university, the biggest success has been recently, in addition to the usual programs with Europe, 10% Erasmus, is a new program we have built with North Carolina State University, which is a very interesting one. I will not elaborate much, but basically our undergraduates are able now to go and stay in labs 8 weeks every summer, undergraduates, in major labs, and be trained and shadow major researchers until they graduate, and then they go then for a PhD program in NC State, which is really quite important. We're sending the first batch of 5 on 15th of June. Of course, overcoming so many difficulties of language, of visas, of financing, but it's done. Each of them goes, some go to solar energy, some go to telecommunication, biotechnology, whatever. That's really, I think it will be annual, so that will really transform the engineering school, and they'll all become ministers eventually.
There's a new cabinet you will see.
Try to be very quick, since I see we're running out of time. Just to answer the question about the hidden fears. I don't think they're hidden at all, actually. I think they're quite well expressed today within an institution, whether by colleagues. I often hear, less and less, and this is going to be related to one of our greatest success, I think, but I sometimes hear colleagues saying, my students can't go abroad because nowhere in the world will they get a lecture in econometrics or statistics as good as the one they're having in our institution, which is absurd, which is ridiculous, which is stupid, but it still exists. So the hidden fears are there. And then you have the hidden fears of the students themselves. Am I going to go in a country where it's dangerous, where the food is not good, where the health issues, things like that. So there are hidden fears, some of them more political, some of them more just basic day-to-day life, ignoring the rest. And I think this is where we have a very important responsibility, a social responsibility, in pushing our students and getting our colleagues to change. This relates to, I would say, our greatest success in terms of internationalization is actually nothing that can be measured yet, but it's that we have actually initiated a dynamic process of change that is only done through the framework of internationalization. We're turning upside down the Univision in a few years, with one goal is this internationalization, because we believe that's where we have to go. Our greatest challenge is a very basic one, is that are we going to have sustainable resources? Can we be sustainable in terms of follow-up and monitoring? And this is an ongoing process every day. And this will be the main challenge.
Yeah. That it looks like all the ideas have come from outside the Arab world. I must say, one of the challenges for the best researchers of my university is to be selected to be part of a program that was born recently in the Arab world, which is called the Highly Cited Researchers Program, developed by the University of King Abdulaziz. And we got one, and his impression after 1.5 years has been so positive that now we got a second one, and now we have a queue of researchers trying to get on the highly cited lists to be able to be selected to be part of that program. And suddenly we're getting people coming to do research and people going to do research to King Abdulaziz. And it's soon to say, but so far it's been an excellent program of exchanging the best researchers of both sides of the world.
thank you very much. Let me use this one. We will link. The last part of the session now is a short presentation about the Arab European Leadership Network in Higher Education, which was mentioned by Professor Sultan Abu Arabi as one of the initiatives of the Association of Arab Universities. It is a sub-organization of the Association of Arab Universities, and it's supposed to foster and support the training of leaders in higher education, and also all of what we're talking about today. It won't be possible if there is no active exchange between institution leaderships in different regions. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Abu Bakr Fathallah, who is our lead council member and the main regional manager at Cardiff Metropolitan University, and you would notice that we're wearing the same ties. That's correct.
Hello everyone. I promise you it will be short. Okay? I know you need to go to the coffee breaks. So my name is Abu Bakr Fathallah. I see a lot of friends here, so thank you for being here. I'll be talking about AARU. We'll start by the abbreviation. It's the Arab European Leadership Network in Higher Education. It will be the vehicle for presidents or vice presidents from the MENA region and Europe to meet and communicate and discuss the problems and challenges in today's global university, global society. Brief about the history of AARU. A recent successful campus project is called Leadership in Higher Education Management. It was done across Lebanon, Egypt, Tunisia, and Morocco, and the UK, Greece, and Italy. In 2013, the annual AARU conference in Erbil, the talks began to set the President's Network under the aegis of the AARU. So we established the name AARU at this conference. Why AARU? Why do we need AARU at this time? To be the platform for the inter-regional cooperation and the inter-regional cooperation, foster new partnerships between universities in both regions, staff mobility, brain circulation, high-level platform to support both region cooperation, etc. So our aims and objectives will be to address the challenges for future development of universities, exchange of good practice, foster new partnerships between universities, enhance leadership capabilities. AARU activities will be training courses and capacity building on an inter-regional, regional and national. It will be a web-based platform, thematic and exchange between peers at different levels. Also annual conferences with specific themes of common interest, such as knowledge transfer, leadership capacity building, etc. A quick timeline. In 2010, the network of university leaders was developed. It was in Corfu, Greece. It was attended by 10 presidents from across the MENA region. In 2012, it was a signed memorandum of understanding between Cardiff Metropolitan University and the Association of Arab Universities. It was done in Cardiff, in the United Kingdom. In 2013, the first training for leaders from across the MENA region under the new campus project was building capacity for university management, also was done at Cardiff. In 2013, the official signing ceremony for AARU between the Association of Arab Universities and Cardiff Metropolitan University and the Leadership Foundation for Higher Education. That's Professor Sultan, Professor Anthony Chapman, our Vice-chancellor, and the CEO of the Leadership Foundation, David Peck. In 2014, it was the official launch. I'm sure many of you attended the official launch. It was the official launch here in Amman in February 2014. Was done at the headquarters of the Association of Arab Universities. Our sponsors varies from the Leadership Foundation in the UK, the British Council in the MENA region, the Magna Carta, the EUA, the Cardiff Metropolitan University, obviously, and the Campus Project from the previous project. Our structure consists of governance and advisory board from 10 universities from Europe and 10 universities from the Middle East. It's got a steering committee to implement the decision making. The membership is open to universities from both regions and organizations and sub-organizations as well. AARU's future will create, plus the previous or the recent 2 or 3 trainings, actually the 3 trainings that took place, a series of training workshops to cover much needed areas of global leadership. develop links with other regional and international organizations, and to enhance the existing and build more areas of collaboration between the MENA region and the European Union. I'd like to thank you, and I hope I was short as I promised.
If I may, if you have any questions for the panel or for Mr. Abu Bakr Fathallah, please, we'll have them through the coffee break. Please join me in thanking our panel in a normal way. And the coffee break is saved outside.
Of this morning session. In fact, we are beginning the final panel of substance of this second AARU Conference on Higher Education. First, you shouldn't worry too much if we are a bit late, because we hope that the afternoon session can be shortened a bit. So if we end today's session at 1:15 or 1:20, it will not be a catastrophe, because then we can recuperate in the afternoon. We have decided to change a bit the order of the presentation. We have first the presentation by the two European panelists, and the third will be the presentation by the Arab panelist, and then I will have a few final words of comment. The three panelists are the two Europeans are the responsible for two of the main networks existing in Europe. Luciano Sasso is Vice-Rector for International Affairs of the University La Sapienza in Rome, and is a member of the Director Board of UNICA. UNICA is a network of universities, the universities of the capitals of Europe. It has always given a great support to our AARU Conference on Higher Education, and Luciano will be able to draw from its experience in Rome and from UNICA's experience what he has to tell to all of us. Marcello Scalisi is the Executive Director of UNIMED. UNIMED is a bi-regional network on both shores of the Mediterranean, so he has an enormous experience in conducting EU-funded projects on Mediterranean cooperation, in particular with Arab countries. And Professor Abdullah Al-Thumi comes from Princess Sumaya University of Technology, but I think that we must say publicly that we must, all of us, be grateful to him, because without him, this second AARU Conference on Higher Education would have been absolutely possible. Without his efforts, I wouldn't say even his stamina, it would have been impossible for all of us to be here. So it is a pleasure and an honor for me also introducing him. So that's all for the moment. Please, Luciano, you have the floor.
Good afternoon to everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much to Princess Sumaya University, our host, and the other organizers, especially the University of Barcelona, the AIG Secretariat, the European University Association, and the Association of Arab Universities, which worked very hard for this event. And I would say that also we have to thank Ramon a lot for this, because without him also this would not happen. So as I said, I represent here both UNICA, a network of the University of the Capitals of Europe, and Sapienza University. This is really, I think, is a great opportunity to be here. I heard a lot of interesting presentations. This is really a very useful forum to discuss different issues related to the collaborations between the Arab universities and European universities. I will try to give you a little bit an historical perspective on certain things which I think could be useful when planning a new Arab scheme for mobility. I think we could try to keep in mind some of the successes, but also some of the mistakes or the issues that we had in the last few years with the most important mobility program, which is the Erasmus program. And I will start with the name. I'm a pharmacologist. I think names are very important when companies decide the name of a drug. They're very careful because patients should know very well what they're taking without making any mistakes with similar drugs. And then I think also in mobility programs this is very important. And Erasmus was a very good name. This is the first success, I think, of the program. Because of course he's a very well known philosopher and humanist, but also is an acronym. Some of us forgot about this, but Erasmus in the beginning was an acronym meaning European Region Action Scheme for the Mobility of University Students. So a very nice acronym which also had the name of a philosopher. And this actually is related to the fact that after more than 25 years, Erasmus is still there. There were many other programs, other schemes, but the only one which survived in a way and is still even stronger nowadays with the Erasmus Plus is the Erasmus scheme. And just to very quickly, I don't have much time, but also to remember the evolution of the program started in 1987, so more than 25 years ago. For some time it was linked to Socrates, but this is an example of another philosopher who is not there anymore, because we decided to change after 2006 and call Erasmus Lifelong Learning Program Erasmus. And at the same time, in 2004, Erasmus Mundus was launched. Because of the success of the Erasmus, the European Commission decided to launch another program that all of us know very well, to link universities from the European Union with universities of other countries. And now, in 2014, after a long discussion, there was a discussion about another name, which was Erasmus for All. But then in the end, the final name of the new program, 2014-2020, as we all know, is Erasmus Plus. It is a program that is actually stronger, with more funds, about 15 billion euros between 2014 and 2020. It is a new program which is incorporating many others, as we know, like, as I said, Erasmus Mundus, but also Tempus, Leonardo da Vinci, etc. So it's actually is a stronger program that is really, we believe, will do a lot for not only for Europe but also for all the other areas of the neighborhood of the European Union. Also, it was mentioned today the Bologna process. Also, it's interesting to remember that the Bologna process is very much linked to the Erasmus program, because, as we said, the Erasmus started in 1987, and the Bologna process in 1999, about something more than 10 years more after. And this is linked to the mobility, because the mobility of students in Europe actually created some problems related to the recognition of the activities of the students performed abroad. And at that time, the credit system did not exist. So when Erasmus started, actually one of the revolutions actually was the introduction of the credit system, the ECTS, that all of us know, which was very useful because for the first time, the workload of the students was measured in terms of hours. So as you know, the ECTS system in Europe is about 1 credit is 25 hours of work of the student. This is, again, is useful as an example because we discussed a little bit this morning the problem of recognition of the activities of the Arab students moving from one university to another. In many universities, you have the credit hour system, which is different. And in Europe, it was very useful to harmonize the the activities of students based on the ECTS system. Then there are many other things in the Bologna process linked, to Erasmus. That's why I wrote that actually Erasmus is a goal, but also a tool for the Bologna process. We have to think it's useful to remember that. Some numbers, I will try to be quick. I'm not going to the details, but just to remember another important aspect now that we are discussing about a new Arab scheme. That's when we started in 1987. Actually, in the first year, the mobility of students was very low. Only about 3,000 students moved in the first academic year, a very low number. And now we are actually in Europe a very high number of students moving with about 250,000 students per year. So this is again another important point. We can start slowly but steadily increasing, and overall the number of students who benefited from the Erasmus program are now more than 3 million. And this had a very important impact on the European community and the European Union later, because of course of all the students who went abroad and learned new things. And as we also discussed this morning, some of the stereotypes that were very strong before and still present now were in a way removed after all this mobility experience. And that's why I decided to have a picture of a European community in 1987. As you can see, actually Spain and Portugal at that time were new members of the community. Many countries, very important countries of the European Union nowadays were not there at all. So mobility was very challenging at that time. We did not have what we have now, the Schengen space, so the possibility of students to move very easily in the European Union without even showing the documents at the border. So the situation was really very difficult. Germany, as you can see, was still divided in two at that time, before 1989. So the situation was very difficult. Nowadays, as you know, we have 28 member states, there are 5 candidate countries, and 2 potential candidates. So I believe personally that, again, the Erasmus program with a mobility of more than 3 million students, with some of them got married after this experience. We have children of Erasmus. Some people say even divorces of Erasmus. This unfortunately happened. So I mean, it's really the number of people involved in Erasmus is very high. So there are data showing that Erasmus contributed very much to the European citizenship. And again, some numbers, but I will go very quickly. Again, I don't want to bore you with numbers, but just to show you that the mobility is not balanced in the Erasmus program. This is a fact. It's not something we have to be afraid of. There are some countries with very high mobilities, namely Spain, first of all, with about 40,000 students. Then we have Germany, France, Italy, Poland, etc. But there are some countries with a mobility that is much lower, and that is not depending only on the population. It's really lower. So this is another fact. When we talk about an Arab scheme, we have to think that maybe in the future also the number of students per country also could be different, depending on several factors, and that could affect that. Another aspect, the number of institutions involved. Now we have more than 4,000 universities and other higher education institutions with the so-called Erasmus Charter. Erasmus Charter is like a driving license for higher education institutions, which allows the higher education institutions to participate in the Erasmus program. So it's a very important document that in a way is a commitment of a university to follow certain rules and certain procedures. So we have a very high number of institutions there involved. And again, I'm showing you this information, this data, to think of the future for an Arab scheme Erasmus. The languages, we have more than 20 languages spoken in the European Union, and of course English is the most used in the Erasmus exchanges, but also of course we have Spanish, we have German, French, Italian, etc. So many languages used, and in this case, also for an Arab scheme, this would be actually much easier because the language is the same. So this is an important issue, and still we're discussing a lot in our universities how to guarantee certain requisite for languages for our students, both incoming and outgoing. But this again is something that is not an issue for an Arab scheme program. So let's try to put this information as a food for thought, for a scheme in this region. And so, which are again the possible advantages and positive aspects that we can immediately identify? First of all, the procedures. The procedures now are very well known. We have a lot of experiences with all the documents necessary to establish a very high quality program, like the interinstitutional agreements, the application forms, the learning agreements, the transcript of record, etc. So this is something that in a way has been done already, so we can take advantage of the documents that are already, the forms that are already available, and we can just in a way modify them. And the language, as I said again, for an Arab schema, the language is not an issue at all, and again in Europe it is. Instead, some of the problems are there, as in a way also we discussed this morning and yesterday. The south-north mobility and south-south mobility could be an issue. Okay, I'm Italian, so I'm in the south of Europe. I can tell you that the south-north mobility and north-south, it is actually an issue also for Italian universities to, have a very significant mobility with some universities in the north or in the UK, etc. But there are also some tools to improve the incoming mobility from the north and say from the UK. One of them, for me, is very high quality teaching staff exchanges. To send very good professors to teach abroad actually will increase the reputation of your institution and actually encourage students of that institutions to go to the institution of the professor. That's a very, in my opinion, powerful tool that we are trying to use. Another one, also Yasser before said so, to send very good students abroad from our own university, to send some of the best ones, because they are ambassadors of our university. And again, they raise the reputation of our universities and encourage the universities in which the students go to send more students abroad. So these are, again, issues that we can in a way discuss, but are there also in the European Union. We have similar problems. And also, to say the South-South is another issue, but also again in the Erasmus program, if you consider the mobility between Spain and Italy, it is very high. So Spain and Italy, we have a very strong collaboration, which is a South-South collaboration in a way. So again, in an Arab scheme, program, also you could expect some mobility from one Arab country to another Arab countries, and students, in my opinion, could be encouraged to go. It's the same as in Europe, students like to go to a similar country like Spain or France from Italy. And then we have to, in a way, encourage them even more to go to others. And other issues which are still there in the Erasmus Plus and in the possible new Arab mobility program are, for instance, visas. Also, of course, we have countries like Turkey, for instance, participating very successfully in the Erasmus Plus program, in which visas are necessary. So that is sometimes is a problem, but again can be solved, with very close contacts with the embassies, with the consulates. That's another strategy to try to have a personal contact, with the embassies. It usually helps a lot, to make faster and more efficient these procedures. As I said again, high quality teaching and administrative staff exchanges. I have the impression that not always we use this tool very successfully. Not always we send abroad, the best professors or the best administrative staff members, and again, sometimes there is a situation in which also we receive emails of people willing to visit us, but it's not clear what they want to do, etc. So the quality of the teaching staff exchanges could be improved, and it could be a very powerful tool to improve also the quality of student exchanges. Recognition of credits, I'm not going into details because this is a conference per se, so it can take hours to discuss this, but again it's still a problem, the recognition of credits for the students, so probably this is something that in a new AARU program I would really recommend to tackle since the beginning, the problem of the recognition of credits, really encouraging to establish since the beginning a very full and complete recognition of the credits. The conversion of grades, we have a European project that is called AGRACONS that is now tackling this problem of converting the grades in a very correct way. Again, it's a complex issue, but for many years under the Erasmus program, the conversion of grades was not actually faced in a correct way, and we are improving also this aspect. And then finally, also we submitted another Erasmus plus K Action 2 project called Erasmus Without Paper, to try to remove the paper from Erasmus and actually encourage only online procedures, because as you can imagine, there are thousands of institutions already involved, and thousands of documents which in the last few years has been sent only by regular post, recently in PDF, but still it's very complicated. So the new scheme, I think, again, recommend for an AARU mobility program to start with an online platform that will allow, since the beginning, the exchange efficiently of documents online without using the paper, because it's really messy and takes a long time. So again, also the name, going back to the name, since as I said, in my opinion, this is very important. Of course, there are important figures in the Arab culture, which could be actually used, and some of them already have been mentioned in this conference. Like Ibn Battuta, Ibn Rushd is the Arab name of Averroes, like we call it in Europe usually. And just want to mention that some of these names have been used already by Erasmus Mundus. So we have an Erasmus Mundus called Averroes. There is another Erasmus Mundus project called Battuta. And then there is also Rushd that it uses in another international program. But I guess this is not a major problem. I guess it is still possible probably to ask and then to see if it is possible to use one of them, even if they were taken already by Erasmus Mundus schemes. So another strategic, and I will finish with this, another strategic choice, in my opinion, is to design the program based on two possible approaches. One approach is that of the interinstitutional agreements, in which different higher education institutions can just sign an agreement and then exchange the students, and this is actually the approach that the Erasmus Plus will be using also with partner countries. And another approach is that of the Erasmus Mundus, in which consortia were created and then projects were prepared for individual mobilities between a specific number of universities. I think this is again a strategic choice to be made in order to make it as efficient as possible. And I will finish here. Thank you very much for your attention.
First of all, I would like also thank you very much of the organizer, the Association of Universities, and the Princess Sumaya Universities, the Barcelona University, and the EUA for this occasion. I participated last year at the first Irish conference, and I'm very happy that this work continues, because we need to establish a platform of dialogue about the Euro-Mediterranean, Euro-Arab cooperation. I thank also also Luciano, because his presentation introduced very well my presentation, because the main topic, I think, is not only now to discuss about project experience and so on, but we have to discuss a little about the political dimension of this cooperation in Europe and the Arab world. But first of all, let me say some words, sort of marketing activity about our network. UNIMED started in 1991. We started with 24 universities, and now we have 90 universities in our network from 22 countries. There is a very good balance. The 50% are coming from southern Mediterranean countries, and the rest from Europe, countries of the European Union, but also not European Union countries. You can see that we have also Finland, which is not so Mediterranean, but the Tampere University has a very big institute, very good institute, that has a lot of projects about Mediterranean cooperation. And also a new one is from the Emirates, that are interested to cooperate with. It's very challenging for us. Unfortunately, we don't have Libyan universities in our network, but I hope that soon they will join us. We are based in Rome. It's an Italian initiative that beginning under the umbrella of University La Sapienza. Now we have several Italian universities, but as you can see, we have several European universities in our network, most the European Mediterranean countries. But we have also some little branch of UNIMED in the Arab country. We have a small office in Naples, at An-Najjar University, and we are trying to open soon a new office in Cairo, at the premises of Cairo University. Obviously, our main goal is to work for the Euro-Mediterranean integration. The universities can play a very important role. 20 years ago, more or less, we started with the Barcelona process, the Declaration of Barcelona. The three pillars of Barcelona process were the political dimension, the economic dimension, and the cultural dimension. I think that just the last one worked very well. Now the Euro-Mediterranean cooperation is very strong in terms of social society, NGO, universities. We discussed about main Tempus mobilities program and so on. But unfortunately, I think that the political dimension didn't work very well, and the economic dimension too. What we do to try to solve this problem, this gap that exists in the Mediterranean, Euro-Mediterranean cooperation. It's not so easy, but we try to do some fundraising activity for our members, to have more projects, to have more money, to have more opportunity, to look for partners. We organize several meetings, technical conferences, and so on. And we try to improve the international relations offices of the university. But it's not a matter only of projects and things to do. The main problem is who discuss with the main institution, for example, in particular, the European Union, about the instruments that they put on the table. Because we are using, you show us main projects financed by European Union. Tempus, Erasmus Mundus. But the discussion between the universities and the European Union around the instruments, around the money, around the rules, unfortunately is very poor. In 2 weeks, the European Union, the DG Education, will organize a meeting in Brussels. It's a Southern Mediterranean dialogue about policy instruments and so on. But we will discuss, the topic is employability. That is obviously very important, but it's not the main topic at the moment. It's a very important topic, obviously, for our young students. But there are a lot of other problems concerning freedom of the universities, the governance of the universities, how to finance the activity of the universities. And as network, we try to play a role also in this. Obviously, we have several projects financed, Tempus also, FP7, we try to play also a role in the research area in FP7 and now in Horizon 2020, but I don't want to talk more about our daily activity and, for example, we have some sub-networks. Is it just an idea to have sub-networks, specific sub-networks that work on a specific topic and so on, that are very useful also to design projects, to prepare new proposals. But we tried, starting from 2011, during the General Assembly that we had in Lecce, in the south of Italy, to invite the European Commission to pay more attention to the mobility scheme for Mediterranean, southern Mediterranean students. And we launched a petition online. We collected 5,000 signatures. We delivered from 55 countries, but it's interesting, more than the Euro-Mediterranean dimension. We delivered the signatures to the Commissioner, Ms. Vassiliou. The idea was also about the Leonardo da Vinci, another that died in the European dimension. Again, this program was very successful for the vocational training, but now at the European dimension. And then we organized several conferences about the program that at the time was the Erasmus for All. Now they changed it, it's another marketing activity of the Commission, the changing in Erasmus Plus. Our idea is to enlarge the Erasmus European dimension to the southern Mediterranean students. Some numbers. With Erasmus Mundus, in the last years we had 1,000 students per year. As Luciano showed us, in the Erasmus European, the last years had 250,000 students per year. Obviously, it's not possible to compare, but we can say that 1,000 students per year from southern Mediterranean countries, it's not enough. We asked a minimum 10,000 students. And we wrote a lot of documents, letters to the Commission, a sort of lobby activities to invite the Commission to insist in this direction. Now with Erasmus for All, I hope that the representative of the Commission will explain us better this. Now the Erasmus Plus is more or less in the direction to support 4,000 courses per year. It's in the middle. 1,000 is not so good. 4,000 is not enough from my point of view. And I think that in the direction to create some Arab initiative on that, you, in particular Southern Mediterranean universities, you have to play a role, you can play a role. We are trying to evaluate other possibilities of mobility, because the mobility of university, we have all the scheme. We know everything in Europe, also with the Erasmus Mundus cooperation project, there are a lot of experiences. Unfortunately, we have to say that the Erasmus Mundus will disappear. In the Erasmus Plus dimension, the Erasmus Mundus is not foreseen, and the mobility will be on bilateral dimension. It's a challenge, it's an opportunity, but at the same time, we lose the approach of the consortium of Erasmus Mundus that we learned here is a very important approach also for the internationalization of universities to strengthen the relationship between universities. The bilateral dimension is more tiring. Surely, there's a lot of difficulties on that, and you have to prepare immediately because the call will be launched in September. But you have to start immediately to prepare this. But coming back to do this new things that we are preparing is a project financed by another program. This is the cross-border cooperation program of the Euro-Mediterranean cooperation and the authority of Regione Sardinia region. The lead applicant is the Chamber of Commerce of Sevilla. We have some representative, and the Jordanian partner is the Just University. And there are other partners coming from several Euro-Mediterranean countries. We are trying to establish a new model of mobility, not only for the university people, but also for, why not, young entrepreneurship. People that want to invest in their own employability, that want to spend a period in Europe around the problem of how to become a global entrepreneurship, establishing a new joint venture with European, or why not, young companies and so on. this idea to join Chamber of Commerce, universities, network, is obviously very interesting because we listen several and different voices and different needs. And we will try during the life of the project to move around 200 students, 200 young people from that countries to Europe and so on, and vice versa. That is very, very important because I'm sure that a lot of European young people are interested to come to the Arab world, to learn more about the Arab world, because they could have very good opportunity. Then, to finish my presentation with a political dimension, we launched an appeal to the European Commission. Because at the moment, the Mediterranean and the Euro-Arab, also cooperation, is not a priority. We have to be honest in that. The neighborhood policy, we have in the same program, Eastern Europe and Southern Mediterranean countries. And the confusion that there is in Europe about the Euro-Mediterranean cooperation is dramatic, to be honest. On the other hand, there is not a counterpart. The university in particular don't play a role, a political role, discussing with the Commission in particular about the new instruments. But it's very strange because there are a lot of rectors or professors that are in their professional life ministry or former minister or prime minister or former prime minister. At the moment, currently, we have in Palestine a prime minister which is rector too. The Rami Abdallah professor that is rector of Nablus University. Obviously, his main job at the moment is as prime minister. And I think that all these actors, all these professors that have a political engagement, they have to work together to invite the international institution, not only the European Union, to listen to your voices. Because it's very important. The instruments sometimes are very poor, are interesting, but are very poor. Coming back to the proposition of Lucian about the Arab scheme for mobility, personally, I think that we have a very interesting scheme that is Erasmus, in Erasmus Plus. And if the Southern Mediterranean government, or the Arab government in a general sense, could put on the table their money to double the funds of the European Union, or to triplicate the funds of the European Union, we could have a very important mass of students that can move from a country to another, from north to the south, or from south to south, why not? But we have also to invest in the attractiveness of the university framework. Because at the same time, we know that there could be some problem to improve the south-south cooperation. Students want to come to Europe, normally. We have to improve the possibility to have a scheme of south-south cooperation. And I think that network like UNIMED, like AARU, like UNICA, like EUA, have to work together. To write a paper and to invite the Commission to pay plus attention to, I see the Mediterranean because it is my daily job, but if Europe loses Mediterranean, probably lose themselves. Last slide is about our activities for 2015, if you are interested to, or to join us, because I am obliged to do this, obviously. But we organize an event about mobility and neighbor policy to discuss about the political approach of Europe to the Mediterranean cooperation in Rome at the end of September, and then we have the General Assembly of UNIMED, that is a very important event for us, in Cairo, inshallah, at the middle of November. Thank you very much.
شكرا جزيلا.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Ramon, for inviting me to be part of this panel. When you invited me a few months ago to be part of this panel, I started thinking about the way I should approach my presentation, and I started talking to my colleagues in Jordan, in the Arab world, and in Europe to provide me with the statistics, with information, so that I could talk about history, I could talk about numbers, but I decided that I should approach it by talking about my own personal experience in this scheme of mobility called Erasmus Mundus in Europe. The first time I heard about Erasmus Mundus was in late November 2006 when I received an email from a friend of mine in Austria, Professor Michael Auer. And in that email there was a link. He asked me to just click on that link. And when I looked at it, it was the first call for Erasmus Mundus. I did the program, the work program, and it was really very interesting because this is exactly what I think we need for Jordan, for my university to start with, for Jordan, for the Arab world. And then I started calling all my colleagues from all Jordanian universities. And I asked them to have a meeting here in Princess Sumaya University of Technology to discuss this new project. And then I also started talking to my European friends to form the consortium of the first Erasmus Mundus project in Jordan, and at the time we were partners with Syria and Lebanon. It was called Lot 5, I think. And then the ministry heard about this project, almost after I had completed the forming the consortium. Apparently they have appointed a committee to study it. They called me for a meeting in the ministry, and I joined them, and I explained to them what was it about, and then we decided to form, rearrange the consortium, choose an experienced coordinator. That was January 2007, and in September 2007 we were in the University of Bologna for our first Erasmus Mundus project meeting for this lot, Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan. I think from my personal experience, the meeting was a disaster, at least for me personally, because there was total misunderstanding with the coordinator, and then I decided that from that point on, that project is not mine. And with the help of friends, we decided that we would form another consortium. And that happened at least 3 years later. But Noura Zabi was here yesterday talking to you about her personal experience in this project. She got her KTH, and I believe she was one of the first students to get this scholarship. The impact of Erasmus Mundus project